Hello scrappers and planet lovers, Tin Man here with another video. So copper prices continue to go up, and that includes insulated copper wire. A lot of times on garbage day you're going to find electronics or appliances that have a nice power cord with them. It might include house wire, and one of my subscribers asked me if I could do a video just showing how to simply upgrade your insulated copper wire. That person said they did not have a stripper, and you don't necessarily have to buy a wire stripper in order to upgrade your wire. For the sake of this video, I am going to use my wire stripper for a little bit of it, but I am also going to show a lot of tips and tricks using just a vise and a knife to upgrade your insulated copper wire. Currently in Canada, there are two prices, and what the scrapyards look at is copper to plastic ratio and copper recovery. Currently in Canada, the price for 40% copper recovery is $1.23 a pound, and 60% recovery is $1.93 a pound. So just from doing a couple little things, you can upgrade your copper by about 60 pounds. And that's what I'm going to show you today. So on my bench here, I have a number of different types of wire that you're going to find while scrapping. I'm going to go through a bunch of them. I also have a couple aluminum ones. I've included, for example, this aluminum wire you can see in here. Currently, this is going for 93 cents a pound clean, and it does have two coatings on it. And what the scrapyards usually do, when we talk about 40% recovery and 60% recovery, the question is, how much plastic do you have around your wire? I actually have another video whereby I do an experiment, and I will look at different wires. I will weigh them and price them clean. Then I will weigh them and price them with their plastic on, or their coating on. And some wire is not worth taking the outer coating off. Cat5, which is your blue internet cable, stuff that has really, really fine strands, it is not going to increase the value of that wire by taking that outer plastic coating on, because the price is going to come in that case from the weight from the plastic. So if you're interested in that video, go check that one out. Hopefully it'll save you some time, because not all copper is worth stripping. But if I look at this wire, for example, or if I look at this one has inside 3 wires, and it also has that are encased with plastic. It also has an outer wire. And what the scrapyard's going to look at is, because it has an outer coating of plastic, including the inner plastic, it's going to lower the amount of copper recovery, and it's going to increase the plastic to copper ratio. So very simple. This is just off an extension cord. I took a piece of it just to show you. All I'm going to do to upgrade this to $1.93 is just actually take an X-Acto knife that I have here. And I have a stripper, I can do that too. I'm not even going to put this on the workbench. I'm just going to quickly just make an incision down it. As you can see, I'm already just taking off the outer coating. If I remove the whole outer coating, I've just increased the value of just these wire strands to $1.93. Okay, and all I just did was an X-Acto knife. Easiest way is for me is to put it into my vise and to hold it, and I will actually just run it down. Okay, and again, there are other methods, but as you can see, it's very simple to do. Just gonna strip it all the way down. Okay, there you go. And I could just go all the way down if I pull it. There you go. So this is now garbage, and this actually doesn't weigh that much, but now I have 3 wires. As you can see, now there's only 1 ring of plastic on it, nice thing of copper in there. If you have a stripper, it is definitely a good idea to run this through the stripper. If you don't, because this is really flimsy, it's very difficult to actually strip it. As you can see inside, it's not one complete strand of copper. There are a lot of them, so I find if I use a hand stripper, the little wires are messy, they will break off. But some people, as I said, will strip the whole thing, and that is entirely up to you. But just from taking that outer coating off, I just increased this, as I said, by 60 cents. Another one that people commonly have is your electronic wire, okay? And this is just actually off of a dishwasher, okay? And you can see inside the individual strands of copper wire, it has an exterior shell that protects it. Again, because of the exterior shell, this is going to be 40% recovery. All I'm actually gonna do is pull it out like that. Took me 2 seconds. Now I have 60% recovery. It's gonna go just from doing that. This will go into the garbage. This will go into my 60% recovery, okay? So it doesn't necessarily mean when you look at lower copper value, it doesn't necessarily mean because they are thinner wires. It all is based on how much copper to plastic ratio there is, okay? And I'm also gonna have to make sure I cut that tip off because they might look at that and say it's lower grade with the plastic. So I will cut that. This head, I will put this head into my lower grade. So I'm still getting money for it. There is actually a little bit of brass in there, so some people actually take the brass heads off, but the rest of this will go into my 60% copper recovery. Okay, so that is appliance wire. Another common one that I'm gonna look at is, for example, your microwave wires. These are the thicker ones. Again, it's got a nice thick coating of plastic. I will run this through my wire stripper, but I would, same method as my extension cord. If you want to take the time, it is actually very difficult to cut this by hand, because if you look inside, the 3 prongs are actually coated not just on the exterior of the wire there, it actually gets filled in as well. So even if I put a line down or cut down this wire and try and pulling it out, it is not going to come out easily. Okay, so you could try it through a wire stripper, but this stuff I actually just leave it as 40% recovery. Okay, and again, I'm going to still get some pretty good weight from the copper coating. Okay, the aluminum, I'm going to actually go back to the aluminum here. As I said, this is clean 93 cents a pound. There is 2 layers on it. So the nice thing about this stuff is you actually find this now more in houses, lower gauge, for example. You will find, because aluminum is cheaper to make, it is just as conductive. You will start finding that in your house. But the thicker ones like this actually come from Hydro One, or the hydro places that set up your meter. It goes to the road. And I do find little chunks of this when I scrap at job sites. A lot of time they just get thrown in there. And as I said, very simple. There are 2 layers on this. The first layer is the easiest to take off. I'm just gonna actually just run an X-Acto knife down it. As you can see, there is my coating. All right, I'm just gonna pull this off. That is off now. I have another coating. And again, same thing. I could put this into my vise. Very simple, very easy. And I'm just gonna do this right now for you. The nice thing is this stuff is thicker, so it's easier to work with. I make sure I also wear safety glasses because I don't want potentially anything going into my eye. But I'm just gonna run it down it. Sometimes it takes a couple times. But as you can see, there is the aluminum that is coming out of that. Look how nice and shiny that is, okay? And I would just go all the way down. Or I have a wire stripper. I'm just gonna run it right through right now and show you how nice this looks from the inside. Okay, and there you go. The gauge wasn't set down farther. Hang on a second. I'm gonna try it again. There we go. Sorry, there we go. I had to get the gauge, the wire cutter blade on the right setting. And as you can see, this is now 93 cents a pound Canadian, okay? If I left the coating on, I'm gonna get probably 10 to 15 cents a pound, okay? But again, I did not have to use a wire stripper. I just did it just to speed this up, but I definitely can use an X-Acto knife. Another common one is your Romex wire. Romex wire comes in reds, it comes in whites, and as you can see inside, there's some really nice thick copper. And again, even though it's thick copper, the scrapyards are gonna look at this because it has an outer plastic coating as well inside. Some of the wires, the two wires have plastic coating. It increases the amount of plastic I have, so it lowers the value. So as is, this would be $1.23 a pound. Very, very simple. If I just took an X-Acto knife again, I'm just gonna make a small incision about 3 inches down. As you can see, there's a really nice number, Bare Bright copper actually, or number one. Number one copper right now is $3.93 a pound, so I definitely want to get that out. Some scrapyards would look at that and say it's Bare Bright. Bare Bright is going for $4.07 Canadian right now, so definitely a lot better than if I brought this in and got $1.23 a pound. All I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my Bare Bright, I'm going to pull it down. There is now clean copper. I'm going to open this up. I've got my two wires. This is garbage. This doesn't weigh much. But these, if I did not strip these, I've just gone from $1.23 a pound to $1.93 a pound, or $1.93 a pound just from taking that outer coating off. Okay, and as I said, I do have a stripper, and it will look just like this, and it will go into my number one or Bare Bright pile. Actually, Bare Bright, so $4.09 a pound for that. Okay, it's cleaned. Okay. Another subscriber actually asked about BX wire. BX wire is your household wire that has the aluminum coating on it, and it has inside a nice piece of clean. Currently, BX wire is going for $1.93, I think, a pound, which is great. But all I'm gonna do just to get that copper out is you just make some twists in it and pull it. Okay, it starts coming out. Start to unravel it, and once I can actually unravel it enough, it starts to fold out, and inside you'll start seeing some nice clean copper and some wires. It also has like a coating of like a paper on it. Okay, again, you definitely want to make sure you wear safety glasses with this. Okay, so the nice thing about this now is this is going to go into my aluminum pile, so I still get money from this. But now, again, I have another really nice piece of, there's a little bit of tarnish on this. This is going to go into number one pile. And I have now the $1.93 a pound wire. Again, it's very thick gauge as well. I'm going to throw this into my stripper, and it's going to give me the number one copper price as well. Okay. Or if you have a hand stripper, because this is thicker wire, you can also use, wire strippers as well. Okay, so thicker wire is easier to use with a hand stripper. And the rule is, I want to make this clear, some people will look at some of my wire and say, oh, that's nice and clean, that looks like Bare Bright. Even though it looks clean, it is not considered Bare Bright because the rule is if the wire is less than the thickness of a pencil lead, it is classified as number two. Okay, so this came out of the BX, as I said. This is thick as a pencil lead, just a little bit bigger. This, because of that rule, this is going to go into number one. Okay, so just because it's shiny and new looking does not necessarily mean that it's going to be Bare Bright. It's going to go into my number two. Currently, Canada number two copper price is $3.50, which is still great. Another one I want to show, this again, very simple. This came off of a fan. You can see the fan, you can see the wire. All I need to do, pull off the outer coating there, cut this, and I now have the upgraded copper wire, okay? And this is gonna be garbage, okay? This does not weigh a lot, so I'm not too worried about that. Okay, so just upgraded there as well. Another one, two more I want to show actually is an oven cord or a dryer cord. These are the nice thick cords that you see here, and it's got the nice brass. The brass, I take an angle cutter or a grinder cutter blade, and I will cut those off, put those into my clean brass, because currently clean brass right now is $1.95 a pound Canadian. But inside, as you can see, there is one strand of thick copper and 3 strands of copper wire, okay? Because even though this is heavy, because it has a heavy exterior shell and it has this big heavy head on it, it's going to be classified as the lower copper recovery. So for this one, very simple. I'm gonna cut the head off of that. This will go into my dirty brass because there are still a little bit of prongs in there. So I'm still gonna get the weight for that. And all I'm gonna do is the same thing as I did before, just cut that open with a knife. Just go right down the blade, if I can find my knife now. Right there. I'm gonna put it into my vise. I'm not gonna open up the whole thing, but just gonna run it down. And just doing that little simple technique. Now I'm going to upgrade my wire, just taking that coating off. Okay, and this wire, even though it is a little bit thin, but there is still a beautiful chunk of copper, this I will actually run into my stripper. This is going to go into my number 1 pile because it is thicker than a pencil. I do have to take off the little brass end there, and I'll put that in my brass. But just removing this outer coating and the head, I have just increased this by 60 cents. Okay, so it is now higher copper recovery. Okay, so little thing to do, oven cores. And last one that I do want to show that some people forget about is this wire actually is the wire that goes around your old TVs. A lot of people are finding these right now because people are getting rid of their old TVs, they're replacing with flat screens. And this wire, actually this right here in my hand is, I've already weighed it, is almost 1.5 pounds. And as you can see inside, really nice copper spool in there. I could bring this in as is, and I will get the 60% recovery because it's only 1 band of coating on it, so that's definitely good. But something like this, I would cut it with the knife down the sides again, or if you have a stripper, run it through the stripper because that copper is going to be a nice copper to get out of there. It's very thick, as you can see, so it'll be easy to work with. But again, to upgrade this, there was also included on here a little bit extra plastic that had a little bit of lower plastic wire or wire on there. I just cut that off to make it one solid piece, so it is now upgraded. Okay. Extension cords, I did do another experiment on that. Okay, and it's the same principle. LVT wire, this is your wire that comes out of, or that goes in from your house, goes to furnaces, it goes to your garage doors. As you can see inside, some nice copper, but again, because of this outer coating on it, you're going to get the 40% copper recovery. This stuff is definitely beneficial to take the outer coating off, at least get your 60% recovery from just taking that off. And if you have a stripper at home, in my other video, I proved that this stuff is worth stripping completely to get the copper clean out because you are going to get more from the copper content, and that's because of the thickness of the copper wire in here. Okay, then leaving it with the plastic coating. hope that answered your questions. You know, again, some of it, as you see here, if it's one layer like that, no outer coating on it, this would just be left as your 60% recovery. Again, hopefully that answered that question. Some simple tricks that you can do, some simple tips, just using your vise, your knife, and just simply taking off the outer plastic, just using muscle power sometimes, just sliding that off. That extra step will upgrade your value of your copper. It will make your scrapping hopefully more rewarding, and you know, just little tricks that I've learned and hopefully I'm passing on to help your scrapping experience more enjoyable and more prosperous in the end. Okay, please comment down below, like, share, subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next video. Tin Man out.